What is up, YouTube fam? Thank you for being here and thank you for watching the last 7 videos if you have. I want to start this video off by saying that I am going to go to posting 2 times a month instead of 4 times a month, so every other week instead of every week. And reason being for that, I just want to be able to take as much time as I can on videos to make sure that they're the quality and they're up to the standard that I want them to be. The filming, the editing, like it takes a decent amount of time. It takes me days to edit a single video. So I'm working on getting systems in place and planning in place so that I can be more efficient at that so it goes quicker. But right now, just like to be able to produce content at the level that I want, I need a little bit more time on that. And it also gives me an opportunity to really flesh out ideas before starting to film. As you've probably seen, a lot of the content that I have been posting has been more vlog style, has been like run and gun and just been like very chronological and linear, which is really nice because the filming process is easier that way. The editing process is easier that way. You can just bring all the clips in and just go one by one by one. You don't have to move a ton of stuff around, which is really nice. But I really want to build up a backlog of content too, not like a crazy backlog, but I want to be able to have some videos in the bank. And this is typically what people will do before starting to post. I jump the gun a little bit, not a little bit, a lot of it, but I would like to build up a backlog of videos so that I'm not like hustling and rushing to film and edit a video to post, that very same week. So I just think the quality of the content is going to be a lot higher. My enjoyment is going to be a lot higher, and it's not going to be like so stressed. I have felt a little stressed over the last like 2-3 weeks to like crank a video out for posting on Saturday. So I'm going to be posting twice a month instead of 4 times a month. So thank you for bearing with me with that. I know that you are eagerly awaiting every Saturday. You're just chomping at the bit on Friday evening. Like, I can't wait to go to sleep because when I wake up, I get to watch one of Brian's videos. I know that's what's going through your head. But the goal eventually is to be posting multiple times per week, like at least twice per week. So that is the direction we're going, and that is the reason for this change to 2 times a month rather than 4, so that we can get to that 2 times a week. So without further ado, the point of this video is to really just talk about everything ultramarathon training, a lot of the stuff that I'm doing, and yeah, just kind of my experience. So I do have my like notes over here, so if you see me look over here, I'm gonna be looking at my notes, so I can just kind of go down this list. But there's a lot of things that I want to talk about. I'm gonna try to make it as quick as possible, but I imagine this is probably gonna be a 20-minute video. The main point that I want to make with this video is that running should be fun. Like it shouldn't feel like a slog. I mean, there's gonna be times where you're working and you are like deep in training and it might feel like, fuck, like this sucks. But if you've gotten to that point, it might be time to like step back and like reflect on why you're doing what you're doing. But generally, it should just be enjoyable. It should be fun. And if it's not feeling that way to you, definitely like, check yourself. And not only should it be fun, but when you're doing it consistently, it really allows you the opportunity to reflect on what's important to you and dial in your lifestyle, dial in your habits, because if you want to do something well and that thing is an athletic pursuit or like a health or fitness endeavor or challenge, whatever you want to call it, there's a lot that is needed outside of the training for that thing that is required to do that thing well. So, in training for an ultramarathon, there is a lot of nuance to training. You're not just going out and running, for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. You are in the gym. You're in the kitchen cooking. You're researching gear. You're testing out equipment. You're testing out hydration and fuel and nutrition and all of these things. So that is going to be the point of this video. I really want to go over, a lot of like the philosophy or mindset and habits involved with training for an ultra marathon. And then I want to get into some of the more tangible stuff like cooking, food, gear, equipment, supplements, all that type of stuff. So, and I will likely be shouting out some of the companies and the brands that I use, and I'll drop my affiliate links down below. I do make a commission off of some of that stuff. So if you do decide to go with some of the supplements, just know that they're going to be in the description. And if you see me looking over here, I just have my notes and like a monitor and my microphone. There's a lot going on right here. So just know that. I've, since starting this ultra marathon training journey a handful of weeks ago, I think it's like 9 weeks ago now, it's really become apparent to me that it is incredibly important to just keep moving. And I was reading this book, Born to Run, which is a phenomenal book. I'm not going to go into it here, but phenomenal book about running. And there's a quote in there from somebody that says, we don't stop running because we get old because we stop running. And I really like that, and I've put that into my own kind of, paraphrased philosophy of, we don't stop moving because we get old because we stop moving. And I've noticed that on my rest days or like really busy work days after doing some, long run or multiple days stretch of running, there are days when, I'll only have like 500, 1,500 steps on my watch. Like I'm not moving at all. And I think steps are really cool because it's just a metric of how often you're moving, how much you're moving your body. Are you standing still all day? Are you sitting? Are you laying down all day? Because humans aren't meant to be sedentary. We're supposed to move these meat suits that we've got. So a big philosophy that I am integrating and just really trying to embody is to keep moving. Even on rest days, keep moving, keep walking, keep stretching, keep anything, whatever that looks like to you, just keep moving. And when you demand more of your body will adapt to deliver on those demands. So keep moving your body. That is like big mindset that I have started to work on in this training. It's just keep on moving. And I think that is going to be something that stays with me for the rest of my life. Like, I don't want to get to a point in my life where I'm not able to move. And what a fucking blessing it is to be able to move, to have the legs that I do, to have my feet, my strong ass feet that can run 20 miles in barefoot shoes. Like, what a blessing. So, keep on moving. Do not stop. On to some more of the habit and lifestyle type stuff. I want to talk about rest and recovery. I want to talk about sleep. I want to talk about stretching. So those three things have been really, really important. Rest and recovery, when you're running, 10 miles, 20 miles, 30 miles, 40 miles a week plus, rest and recovery is really, really important. And by rest, I don't mean laying on a couch, just not doing anything. Rest can look like taking a 3-mile walk on the beach. Like there's so many different ways that we can rest our bodies, and it doesn't need to be just laying on a couch or, just fucking off eating a bag of potato chips while you watch a movie. That's not rest. Like I had mentioned before, keep moving. Keep moving, super, super important. Low intensity exercise when you are in kind of a rest phase or you're on a rest day. Yes, it is great to relax and sit or squat or lay down for periods of time, but the majority of your time should not be spent being sedentary. A huge thing that I like to do for rest and recovery is be barefoot on the ground, which is also called grounding. And it is a huge part of my lifestyle. I love to be barefoot the majority of the time. I'll go in grocery stores barefoot. And if I'm not able to be barefoot, a lot of the time I like to wear my sandals. They're called Earth Runners, and they have a copper plug in the bottom and silver thread running through the laces or the thongs, which is very conductive which actually connects you and grounds you to the earth when you're walking. So that's really cool. But if I'm not able to wear those, I'll wear my barefoot shoes, my Vivo barefoots. But majority of the time, I like to be barefoot. And just for recovery purposes, one of the most beneficial things in my eyes and my mind is to be barefoot on the earth. Many studies have been done on the effects of grounding, and you can actually buy grounding bed sheets so that you can be grounded while you sleep. But the benefits that your body receives from being connected to the earth are immense, and the anti-inflammatory properties are insane. So highly recommend just being barefoot as much as possible. So now I want to talk about some of the habits and some of the things that I like to integrate into my lifestyle that aid me in ultramarathon training and just benefit my life, my health, my mental health, and my energy altogether. So I want to talk about rest and recovery. It's incredibly important. I want to talk about sleep specifically, and then stretching, and then we're going to get into some of like the hydrating, the fueling, the cooking, the supplements, the gear and stuff like that for ultramarathon training specifically. But if you're training for anything and you're not prioritizing recovery, like if you're getting shit sleep and you're not stretching, you're not foam rolling, you're not cold plunging, you're not maximizing the gains that you could be having. Like recovery is a staple part of training. It's like 50-50. It might even be 80-20, 20% exercise and 80% recovery. Like you really need to be prioritizing your body and treating your body right post-training so that your body can recover and build itself back stronger. Because if you're not giving it the environment that it needs to build itself back up, guess what? It's not going to in an efficient way. So I cannot stress the importance of recovery enough. Now, some of the things that I like to do for recovery, obviously sleep is one, and we will get to that. That's a big one. But keep moving. Walks. Walks are huge. Just keep your body moving. Laying on the couch watching Netflix is not rest. That is not rest at all. You're blasting your face with artificial blue light. You're likely, if you're doing that, not getting adequate exposure to the entire spectrum of light that your body needs. Light is part of our diet, and you need the full spectrum. You need sunlight to be healthy. You're exactly like this plant back here, and if it doesn't get light, guess what? No bueno. That is the same for you. So light is huge. Movement is huge. Bare feet on the earth. Incredibly anti-inflammatory. If you're doing any sort of intense exercise that is pumping up the inflammation in your body, I cannot recommend grounding enough. Get your bare feet on the earth. If you have access to a park, if you have access to bare grass in your backyard or front yard, if you have access to the beach, go spend a ton of time just barefoot in those places, just bare feet connected to the earth. They've done studies on grounding, and the anti-inflammatory effects on the body are profound. I will throw up a graphic right here. Look at that. I highly recommend diving into that a little bit deeper. Grounding is huge. We are supposed to be. We are animals. We are biological beings born of the earth. If you look at any animal out in the animal kingdom, we're not different. We are animals. No animals out there are insulated wearing shoes. They are connected to the earth 100% of the time. And this is a tangent, but that is one of the reasons why, among so many others, why so many of us are sick in today's society, because we are disconnected from the truth of our being and disconnected from the truth that we are nature, and we are so disconnected from that. Living in these little boxes surrounded by electromagnetic frequencies and Wi-Fi signals and EMFs, all this stuff. Just take your shoes off, go outside. 30 minutes, bare feet on the earth. Phenomenal anti-inflammatory properties and great for rest and recovery. Red light therapy. I know everybody might not have access to this, but if you can afford a red light therapy machine, I use one from BioLite. You've probably seen in my other videos, it's a big tower with a bunch of red LEDs. Highly recommend a red light therapy device. Again, another modality that has been studied extensively. Red light on the electromagnetic spectrum is incredibly healing on the human body. And the primary places and times that the specific wavelengths, the nanometer of wavelength that produces red light is available is at sunset and sunrise, when the angle of the sun's rays that are penetrating the Earth's atmosphere onto the surface are incredibly low. That is where we see red light. So sunrise and then sunset. So it's something that I'm not going to get too deep into because that's an entire video in itself. I try to do like 10 to 15 minutes directly in front of our red light machine every day, and even more when I'm really hitting it hard and doing really intense exercise, and I can feel it in my ankles, I can feel it in my feet, I can feel it in my legs, and I just want to just bulletproof my body. So I cannot recommend red light therapy enough. I am a huge supporter of it, have been for years. I've dove into the research. I'm not going to talk too much more about it, but red light therapy is awesome and I highly recommend it. I will actually link to a Twitter thread that I wrote down below as well if you want to learn a little bit more about the history, how we discovered it. It was actually discovered by NASA scientists who were working under red light, noticing that their flesh wounds, like any cuts on their hands, were healing incredibly fast. So highly recommend checking that out. Two other things for rest and recovery. For running specifically, lately I've been doing legs up the wall, and I'm just laying on the ground with my legs sticking up against the wall, and that just puts a lot less strain on your heart. It refreshes and flushes the blood from your legs so that you can have fresh oxygen circulating in your legs. So that's something that I've recently started doing. I've known that it's beneficial, but haven't done it all that religiously, but I do it pretty much every day now. Breath work, absolutely love breath work. Wim Hof has been great. There's a guy that I'll also link below, Kitaro Waga, or maybe I can put a thing over here of a video. I do this video every single morning. It's like a 13-minute breathwork session with like 3 different rounds of Wim Hof and then 2 oxygenated in-breath breath holds for like 45 seconds. It's so great. It aids in anti-inflammation. It aids in vagal tone. It aids in ability to combat stress. So not only is it beneficial to the body, but it's also beneficial to the mind and your spiritual well-being. So breath work is another one of those. So I'm sure there's a lot of other things for rest and recovery that I'm not touching on, but I think the biggest one that I want to touch on is sleep. And man, sleep is so important, and so many of us have no idea how to do it right. And I wouldn't even say that I'm a master of my sleep. It's so hard in today's day and age to prioritize high quality sleep. Just a few of the things that I know to be true in terms of getting restful quality sleep are consistent sleep and wake times. Our bodies are rhythmic. The planet is rhythmic. It's all just up and down. It's all waves. The sun rising, the sun setting, the sun rising, the sun setting. Everything on this planet works in a rhythm. So we have our circadian rhythms, and it's really, really beneficial for us as biological organisms. Every one of our cells has a specific rhythm, a 24-hour rhythm that it works in. So very, very beneficial to designate a specific sleep time, the time that you go to sleep every day, and a specific wake time. And that's why daylight savings time can be super jarring for people, because it throws off your entire rhythm, even by just an hour. That's huge for the body. So that one is massive. Just consistent sleep and wake times. It doesn't need to be 9:30 p.m. on the dot every single day. We've got busy lives. Like I said, modern society is a little crazy, so it's just the best you can do, right? Just aim aim, and sometimes you're going to hit the target, sometimes you're going to miss, but just have something that you're aiming at, right? So 9:30, 10 is my desired sleep range. Wake up times. Once you get into a good solid rhythm, your body will actually just wake you up when your body's ready to wake up. And I've found that my body wakes up pretty much religiously at 6 a.m. every single day. So I really enjoy waking up at that time. Typically, the sun is rising right about that time, and I actually know, like, I'll be laying in bed and I'll like wake up and I'll open my eyes and I'll be able to check in with myself and say, okay, am I still tired? Is it possible for me to fall back asleep? And I'll be like, okay, is my body awake? I'll just ask, like, is my body awake? And if the answer is yes, then I get out of bed. I don't just like hang out in bed trying to fall back asleep. Like, what a waste of time. I mean, in my opinion, you're not really getting that much more benefit if you just like lay in bed trying to fall asleep for another half hour and then getting out of bed versus just getting right out of bed. So consistent sleep and wake times, super, super huge for the daily rhythm. Not eating close to bedtime. I am pretty bad at this, but this is something that I have a goal on getting better at, and that's, not eating within 2 hours of going to sleep. So that's really difficult sometimes, especially when I'm having to train, late in the day at like 6:30 if work goes long, or 7 o'clock, and I train for an hour, get home at 8, and then I have to prep food. Then I'm eating at like 8:39 and only giving myself like, 20 minutes to an hour to digest before going to sleep. So that one is a super, super big one. Digestion is a super energy intensive process, and it's not something that you want your body to be doing when it should be in a restful sleep state. You don't want your body to be digesting food because you're not going to be getting as high quality sleep as you could be if your body's spending a ton of energy having to digest, a full meal. Not eating 2 hours before bed. I'm just going to kind of go through these quick, and if you've got any questions about these, then drop a comment and I can make, further more detailed videos on these. I like to sleep with like natural fiber bedding, and some of the clothes that are my favorite clothes that I own are made of some sort of polyester. But in an ideal world, we're just wearing natural fibers. We're just wearing cotton. We're just wearing linen. We're just wearing wool, because polyester is literally just plastic, and it is shown to not be very good for not only the environment but human health as well. We're finding a lot of microplastics in everything, in everybody's bodies and in everybody's testicles apparently. But sleeping in linen and natural fiber bedding is a night and day difference. Sleeping in linen sheets as opposed to like polyester sheets, which I used to. I'm one of those people that think that everything has a specific frequency and vibration, and I find that the frequency of linen is far higher than the frequency of polyester. So I like to surround myself with higher frequency and higher vibe materials. Limit blue light after dark. Limit blue light after dark. Our skin and our eyes are incredibly sensitive to our light environment. That is the light that is all around us. Specifically the sun, the only source of light for millions and millions, not even billions of years, until humans came along, we invented the light bulb, and now we have light at our fingertips. But it is bastardized light, it is adulterated light, and it is not the full spectrum of light. And like I'd mentioned before, light is part of your diet. So when it's nighttime and your body should be producing melatonin because your light environment, the sun being gone and it being dark, your light environment is communicating to your body to wind down, it's time to rest, it's time to go to sleep, and it's time to produce melatonin and secrete that throughout the body. Your body is not doing that as efficiently and as well as it could, because you're staring at this blue light blasting device that is flickering, which is super jarring not only to your eyes but also to your body, just being flooded with this artificial blue light. Super unhealthy. So I am also not the best at this. I'm not saying like, all people that are, blasting themselves with blue light are fucking up their health. I do this too. I do it all the time. I'm fucking doom scrolling at 10 p.m. and I can't get out of this little K-hole of a doom scroll, and that's just life. I'm trying to be better at it, and I highly recommend you set the intention of being better about that as well. Blue light, not great for your health, not great for your sleep, not great for your recovery, and not good for your training. So limit blue light after dark. Box breathing is something that I implement into my sleep routine. When I get into bed, a lot of the time I will focus on breathing in for 4 seconds, holding for 4 seconds, exhaling for 4 seconds, holding for 4 seconds. I find that this helps me quiet my mind of racing thoughts, because I'm not focusing on other thoughts that may be coming in if I'm focused on 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It makes falling asleep and getting kind of out of that, like, the habit of racing thoughts late in the day when you're not doing anything else. It makes that a lot easier, and I find that definitely helps me fall asleep quicker. Magnesium, I've started to take magnesium about 400 milligrams every single evening, along with the amino acid glycine, and I find that my sleep is really, really good. I'm able to fall asleep, I'm able to stay asleep. I definitely recommend taking magnesium and glycine. And I will drop down a link to Thorne, the supplement company that I affiliate for. I've got a dispensary, which is basically just like a link to a storefront of all of the supplements that I use from them. You can go look through there, you can purchase them, and you can try them out yourself. I do make money from sales, I think. I actually don't know about that one, so check it out. Basically, all of the supplements that I use are from Thorne. Super high quality stuff, and I love them all. So that is going to be it for sleep, aside from making your room as dark as possible. Like, we're cave dwellers. Like, it needs to be dark. And going back to the light environment thing, if you have a ton of light pollution, if you're falling asleep with your TV on and your TV is a 70-inch flat screen facing your bed, that's no bueno. Like, try to get your room as dark as possible. My room right now has these, like, kind of like frosted glass type curtains that pull down, and it still lets light in, and it's almost like a soft box when the sun starts to come up. But I'm working on making it so my entire room is pitch black when I go to sleep. So that's it on sleep. I'm sure I missed some stuff. Next is going to be stretching. In the past, after my runs, I'll just kind of go about my day, whatever that looks like. I might come home from a run, 10-mile run, and just sit down at a bar stool and get on my computer and start like working on stuff or editing or offloading footage. And that is not ideal. It's not beneficial in any way, in my opinion. Like, you really need to kind of move your muscles around and stretch into the areas of your body that you were just repetitively using. So I've really gotten into the habit over the last few weeks of post-run getting on my yoga mat and going through, a flow. And I don't have a specific routine. Like, I'm just flowing, and I'm feeling into my body and feeling what wants to and what needs to be stretched. And it feels so good. Like, it feels so good to move your body and feel into your body. I love that term, kinesthetic awareness of your body, how it moves in space, and where, you might have some like tight spots. I really noticed that my hips get super tight, my right one specifically. So I have to make a point of it to stretch that out every day, or it's going to be just like rock hard tight. I don't always stretch before running. I'll do like, some jumps, I'll do some skips, and I might do some hamstring stretches. But typically I'll just And maybe this isn't the right way to go about things, but I'll typically just like get right into like a light jog and then get into my run. But whatever works best for you. When I do go to the gym and I'm doing strength training and weightlifting, I typically will always start with kind of a structured flow, and I can film that in another video, but really simple stuff, just like warm up the body, get the blood flowing. If I'm going from like, working all day to going to lift heavy weight, I definitely want to have my body like warmed up a little bit and know kind of where everything is. So I think stretching prior to weight training is kind of important, at least for me personally. Stretching before running, not so much. Maybe before a sprint workout, definitely. But, kind of lower intensity aerobic zone 2, I don't really worry too much about it. It's more on the tail end, post-run, that I really try to focus on. Next few things I want to talk about are like during a run, like hydrating and fueling, pre, during, post. Hydrating just, throughout the day, your nutrition, and then supplementation and gear and equipment. And this isn't like what you should do. This is all stuff that I do. Like, this is all stuff from my experience that I just wanted to share and put that out there. So hydrating and fuel, I never used to be somebody who would hydrate and fuel during long runs. I specifically remember like a 16-mile run. It was like the longest I'd ever run. I was living in LA. I ran all the way over to West Hollywood. It was late at night, and I didn't bring anything with me. I mean, I felt fine after, but like so inefficient. And I have since started to, even on, 10-mile runs, I want to be fueling myself with something, carbs and electrolytes, so that I'm not just ending a run completely depleted of everything. I want to be fueling and hydrating like every 30 minutes. Like, I want to be like drinking something with sodium, magnesium, potassium, all of my minerals, as well as fueling with some carbs like every 30 minutes. I feel like it's really easy to go out on like, a 12-mile run. It doesn't take that long to do like a 12-mile run. It's like an hour or 2 hours. I would much rather be fueling during the workout so that I'm not playing catch up on the tail end, because there will be times where I find it really hard to finish a longer run and get right into refueling and rehydrating myself, drinking electrolytes and eating carbs right after a run, unless it's some fresh fruit. So I just like to prioritize that now and do that intra-workout, which really wasn't all that important to me, but since starting this training, I've really started to incorporate that more, and I think it's majorly beneficial to be drinking and fueling during the workout. High quality water for hydrating, incredibly important. I'm not going to go too deep into this, but tap water is one of the worst sources that you can get for your water. I am a believer that you should always be putting salt of some kind in your water. Not table salt, definitely not table salt. Refined salt is terrible for you and is devoid of many of the minerals and nutrients that you need. Actually makes salt beneficial. So I will drop some recommendations for salt below. I don't affiliate for any salt companies yet, but salt is huge. We are bioelectric beings, and our bodies rely on electrolytes, which are salt, chloride, sodium, potassium, magnesium. Those things are incredibly important for your body to be functioning properly. So salt is huge, and unfortunately, a lot of salt today has microplastic in it. Some of the salts that I use two specifically. Baja Gold, which I've started to use recently, and it is incredible. They mineral test, they heavy metal test, and they've got all these tests on their website as well for you to look at. Fantastic salt. Baja Gold and Vera Salt, which is tested microplastic free. They're both kind of on the more expensive side. Celtic sea salt's also a good one. I think Redmond's is pretty good as well, but I primarily use Baja Gold and Vera Salt. And I will drop those down below as well. So salt is huge. And spring water, high quality water. I get a delivery service with my girlfriend. We get like 20 or 30 gallons delivered in glass jugs every 3 to 4 weeks or something like that. We've gamed it in a way where like we know exactly how much water we're drinking in a time period, and we can pretty much guarantee that it's going to get delivered right when we run out, which is really nice. And I know not everybody has the finances to be able to do that, but I will say this. I spend most of my money outside of rent and car payments on food and water, the stuff that helps me stay healthy. So I just want to put that out there that you should really be prioritizing your health. I'm not telling you to go, buy the most expensive water in the world or eat just grass-fed, grass-finished ribeyes for every single meal, but like really focus on, buying high-quality nutrition. Like really, really prioritize spending, what your body is worth. Like I want this motherfucking machine to be a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, a fucking Bugatti. And I can't operate in that way if I am fueling with Kraft mac and cheese and dino nuggets and just all the, beer battered shit at Costco. No shade to Costco. Other things in terms of hydrating and fueling in terms of running, eating fuel before. I like to eat whole foods before, whether it's, a banana, kiwi. Fresh fruit is great, and I love to eat that pre-workout. As you've seen in some of my videos, I absolutely love dates. Dates are incredible, and I love to butter and salt dates, and I'll start a lot of workouts with that, and I feel like that gives me some pretty awesome energy. And also post-run, really, really important to prioritize rehydrating and refueling. You've just, gone out on a 7-mile, a 10-mile run. It's really important to, your body is depleted. You need to top up those stores. You need to be drinking quality water. You need to be remineralizing with salts and electrolytes, and you need to be refueling. Your muscles just used up their glycogen stores, and you need to be eating carbs so that you can top up those stores so that your muscles are ready to work again. So hydrating and fueling, really important pre, intra, and post workout. Cooking and hydrating, this almost needs to be another video entirely. I spend a lot of my time cooking, and like I'd mentioned a minute ago, a lot of my income is spent on food. I like to eat really high quality food, and I like to drink really high quality water. And in terms of food, like I'm okay paying top dollar for premium nutrition because there's so much crap out there today. There's so much garbage, and there's so much stuff that's like laden with pesticides, filled with antibiotics and hormones that you're then ingesting, and that's becoming part of your body. Those are the building blocks that you're giving your cells to reproduce and make new cells with. So I cannot recommend enough using whole foods, organic foods, grass-fed, grass-finished, preferably regeneratively sourced meats. Very, very important on that front. Organic, very high quality, whole foods, not stuff with like 10 plus ingredients in them with, preservatives, additives, binders, and things like that. A little bit of that stuff, it's not going to kill you, but just keep in mind that stuff is not, they're not ingredients that your body, being the, the biological from earth organism that it is really built to process. So it's going to take extra work for your body and your organs to process out those toxins. So yeah, cooking, man. Yeah, I cook most of my meals. I eat out maybe once a week. The majority of the food that goes into my body comes out of my kitchen. And I joke about this a lot. I love to cook for people. It's one of my favorite things to do. Just like making sure people are nourished with high quality foods. And I love to cook. It's just like such a creative outlet for me too, to like make a dish how I want to make it. I cannot stress the importance enough of making love infused food. Seriously, like taking the time and the intention to prepare, cook your own meals, whether it's for yourself or for others, is so important. And I am a firm believer that that energy and that intention of, cooking this meal with the intention of nourishing your body, that goes into the food. That energy is transferred to the food. It's kind of like the old saying of like, oh, around the holidays, and I'm paraphrasing and gonna fuck this up, but around the holidays, if grandma makes you cookies, you eat them. They're not bad for you. They're actually a health food. Something along those lines. It's because those cookies that grandma made are infused with grandma's love. They're not going to do anything to you. They're not going to hurt you. They will only make you stronger. So that's kind of how I look at food and preparing my own food. Like, it is such a blessing and a gift to be able to cook for myself and for my girlfriend, for my friends. And I love doing it. And love is the secret ingredient. Always will be. I don't eat out a lot, but when I do eat out, I try to minimize my exposure to seed oils, to refined sugars, and really just try to find places that don't cook in seed oils, don't have, enriched flours. And I try to stick to just like grains, whole vegetables, and beef when I do eat out. Beef or chicken that's been like minimally processed, minimally cooked, and usually it's just like a burrito bowl or a steak bowl or something like that. So just really, really, really prioritizing high quality food and inputs going into your body so that your body has the highest quality building blocks to build back stronger with. Again, carbs are your friend. Don't need to be afraid of carbs. I do not subscribe to any like fad diets or anything like that. Just like do what feels good for you. Pay attention to your body. Pay attention to what doesn't feel good when you eat it. Just be aware. Limit snacking. That's a big one. Limit snacking throughout the day. We're not meant to be digesting 24/7. Along the same lines, intermittent fasting is great sometimes. I don't do it all the time. And if you can, I haven't done this regularly because I have been training and I don't want to go days without eating, but fasting in general is insanely beneficial. And I will talk about more on that later, but fasting is an incredible health hack. Going days without food, letting your body completely regenerate and allocate energy where it's needed is huge. If you think about it, digestion is an entire body process. It turns on every single organ to be able to process and digest and assimilate and excrete food and the waste that is produced. So it's using every system in your body. It is so energy intensive. And a lot of people get scared of like, oh my God, I'm going to die if like I don't eat for 2 days. Bro, people have like fasted for 40 plus days. There was a dude that fasted for an entire year who was overweight and lost like 180 pounds. I have friends that regularly do 7-day seasonal fasts. And I myself have done 7-day fasts, 3-day fasts, 2-day fasts regularly. And it's an incredible modality. It's cheap. It's free, actually. It costs you nothing because you're not spending money on food. You save time, you save energy. You're not having to go to the bathroom. Saves you time scrolling endlessly on Instagram while you're on the toilet. Saves you time because you don't have to cook anything. Saves you time because you don't have to go get food or go buy food. But intermittent fasting and fasting, great modalities for, optimizing your health. Eat enough protein. If you need to use a protein powder, that's great. I'll throw some links to some in the description that I use that are really high quality, very little ingredients that I am actually using myself. And you probably know that you want to get, if you're training and you're trying to build muscle and you're trying to maintain your physique and build muscle, you want to be eating about 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight that you have. So eating enough protein is super huge, and I highly recommend trying to get all that protein from whole food sources, not powders. But if you need to use powders, by all means, go for it. High quality water, again, don't use tap water. You can look up all of the toxins. If you're in the US, you can look up on Environmental Working Group, EWG.org, look up your zip code, and you can find a list of all of the environmental toxins that have been tested in your municipal tap water. Stop drinking tap. Get bottled water. Find a water store near you and get 5-gallon jugs that you keep at your house. Stop drinking tap water. Something else that I've been doing is incorporating a lot more fresh fruit. I absolutely love fresh fruit. And I try to eat seasonally. I could be a lot better at it, but now that it is spring, going into summer, I do find that I'm gravitating more towards a lot of fresh fresh fruit, whether it's fresh or frozen. A lot of frozen fruit is actually frozen at like peak ripeness, so there's a lot more bioavailable nutrients and minerals in the fruit when it's flash frozen. So I like to do fruit smoothies, yogurt bowls, and stuff like that with fresh fruit, or just like, yeah, just eat fresh fruit whole. It's one of the nature's candy. It's one of the best things. One of the best things about being alive actually is like fresh pineapple, mango, kiwi, strawberries, blueberries. Like what? What? That stuff exists? It's fucking incredible. Absolutely love fresh fruit. So that is it for the cooking and hydration bit. Supplementation. I never used to be a big supplement guy, but I am supplementing right now. One of the things that I will always take is creatine. I could talk about creatine for at least 5 minutes. I'm not going to do that right here because this is already a really long video, but creatine is amazing. I will drop a link in the description for an X thread that I wrote a while ago that goes over the benefits of creatine. It's basically free energy for your body to use. Your cells, the mitochondria, use ATP, adenosine triphosphate, as energy, as cellular energy to operate efficiently. And when your body is maxed out or you're tapped out of ATP, if you have stored up creatine in your muscles, your cells, the mitochondria, can actually pull from creatine to use as ATP. So it's just storing usable energy in your body for when your body needs it. So highly recommend creatine. There's a ton more about it that I'm not going to get to, but it's amazing for performance, great for endurance, increased stamina, you name it. So creatine is one. Glutamine is something that I've started to use recently after diving a little bit more into like the gut health side of things. Glutamine is a non-essential amino acid and it really helps with bulletproofing and repairing the gut lining. So I've been taking about 10 grams of that every single day, and I'll mix basically all of this stuff aside from the protein that I'm going to recommend in just my daily jug of water. So I'll do like creatine, I'll do glutamine. Like I mentioned before, magnesium is one. I'll throw a couple scoops of magnesium in my water. And this is magnesium bisglycinate from Thorne specifically. It's just another form of magnesium. It's one that is really bioavailable and your body can absorb and actually assimilate. Obviously electrolytes, I put salt in a lot of my water, and I've also been using Bare Performance Nutrition, BPN's electrolytes. I've been trying those out. I want to find something that doesn't have natural flavors in them, something that's just really clean. I know this isn't a supplement. I think this goes back to the hydration, but lemon, fresh squeezed lemon, I love putting fresh squeezed lemon in pretty much everything. So I'll squeeze like a half or a whole lemon into any water that I'm drinking. I kind of consider that a supplement. But so we've got creatine, glutamine, magnesium, electrolytes. Collagen is another one. I'll do like a 10-gram scoop of collagen, either like in my coffee, in my cacao in the morning, or just in my water or in a smoothie. So there's a lot of uses for collagen. Super good for bone, joint, gut health, and skin health. And yeah, it's just collagen. It's a no-brainer. I cannot recommend using collagen enough. And again, I'm going to drop all the links for everything that I mentioned here in the description so you can check those out. As far as other supplements go, some that I take but infrequently, Shilajit is a mineral-dense tar-like substance that's pulled from the mountains kind of in the Himalayas and Siberia, I think. And basically the tar was formed from continents colliding and smashing forests together, and then over time, all of that organic matter compressing and kind of turning into this tar, and it's just like super dense in fulvic and humic acids, and I am not an expert on those, so I'm not going to talk about them, and just very mineral dense and really good for you. So I take that sometimes. Vitamin C as well as glutathione I take semi-frequently, and I definitely take those if I ever feel like low energy or if I feel like maybe a cold coming on or something like that. Those are my illness like bulletproofers. I start to take those and typically I'm good. I do not get sick that often. So I think that's it for supplements that I take regularly. Any other supplements would just be the protein powder that I use, just like a really high quality grass-fed whey. or Noble, which is like a beef protein isolate from the actual muscle of the animal, with like a organ complex of like liver, heart, spleen, pancreas, kidney, all of those being really, really nutrient dense parts of an animal, and they've mixed that into a protein powder. So I'll take that pretty frequently as well. So just anything that I can do in my day to make sure that I'm getting really, really high quality nutrients and just an array of nutrients and minerals. So that's going to be it for supplements. Gear and equipment. This is less important than all of the other things, but still important because you do need high quality gear, especially when you're doing endurance races and ultramarathon training. And I mean, shoes are a very important part of running. So a couple of the things that I've been using for training are like a water belt and a water vest from Salomon, the running company. And I've got the ADV 12 Skin, I believe it's called. I haven't had it for that long. I've used it for a little bit, but I think more testing on that is going to be needed for me to give you like my recommendation. The belt that I have, however, is fantastic. I love it. I think I belted a little too tight because I have been getting some like gut distress during really, really long runs, like a marathon or 50K that I did a little bit ago. But it's otherwise phenomenal. It carries almost a liter of water between two bottles on the right and the left side in the back, and then it's got a pouch that'll fit my phone, it'll fit my chafing balm, it'll fit my keys, it'll fit a bunch of stuff. And I really, really, really like it. And I will link that down below as well. Watch is super, super important for tracking so that you can know your heart rate, your improvements, your pace, all of that. I think a Garmin or a Coros, I specifically use Garmin. I mean, you can use an Apple Watch, you can use a Coros. There's a lot of tracking devices out there, but for whatever reason, I just gravitate towards Garmin. I really like the look, I like the feel, I like the build quality. They can get a little expensive, but I buy all my stuff, like most of my electronics, on Facebook Marketplace, like used but in really good condition. I'm like pretty savvy about that. You can save hundreds, if not thousands of dollars buying stuff on Facebook Marketplace or any other marketplace instead of just buying it new. So I highly recommend. I've been using the Fenix 6 Pro for a while, and that is a phenomenal watch. I actually just filmed a review about it and the Fenix 7X Pro Sapphire Solar. That's a mouthful that I just got. And the Fenix 6 Pro, such a good watch. Build quality insane. Never had an issue with it ever. It's just a really, really great watch. And for the price that you can get them at now, it's just, it's a no-brainer to get a watch like that for like 200 bucks. The Fenix 7X Pro, I haven't had that long. I've only had it for about a week, but I absolutely love it. It is such an amazing watch. Yeah, and it's got a lot of smartwatch features too, like touchscreen and things like that. Highly recommend getting some sort of fitness tracker. It doesn't need to be the top of the line smartwatch. That's an essential piece of training equipment. Shoes are really important, so find a shoe that works really well for you and the training that you're doing. I have a couple shoes. I'm using the Nike Trail Pegasus 5s, I believe, and I love the sole of those. They feel great. I wasn't sure if I was going to like them at first, but I do road running, I do trail running with them, and it's a really well-designed shoe, and it makes my body feel really good, and I haven't had any issues with that shoe specifically. We'll talk about another pair of Nikes that I bought in another video. We'll definitely talk about them, but I don't recommend just buying shoes willy-nilly and spending thousands of dollars and then wasting a bunch of your money, because there are shoes out there that are trash. I've tried Hoka's. I don't like them. I'm very specific about shoes. I love running in barefoot shoes too, which is something that I've recently started doing, and I use Vivo Barefoots. Their shoes are phenomenal. I absolutely love their mission. I love everything that they're about. I'm totally on board. I really want to get into running in sandals, so stay tuned for that. That'll be another piece of equipment that I'll bring on, and I'm looking at the sandal company Shama. So that is another one. I really want to move more in the direction of running barefoot, which is more aligned with how we biologically and evolutionarily were designed to run, was barefoot, not super insulated and super cushioned with these thick soles. It's not good for foot strength, and it's not good for the impact that you're putting on your body, because that's supposed to get absorbed by the muscles and the ligaments and the tendons and everything in your feet. And when they're not, that shock gets sent all the way up to the calves, and it gets sent up to the hips and the legs and the knees, and that's just not good. So it's not optimal running, and I'm not trying to get injured. I'm trying to bulletproof my body for years and years to come. The only other thing that I would say that I am looking at integrating to my training regimen is going to be a heart rate monitor, just to get like really, really accurate heart rate data. I've heard that the watches, they're not super accurate. So I am going to be looking into getting a heart rate monitor for the Garmin. I used to have one when I was doing triathlon training, but I sold it, but looking into getting one of those as well. One last thing on equipment, something that I've been working on that I'm going to share about in other videos is a chafing balm with a tallow base. And I've got to say, I went on a marathon run yesterday night. I ran 26 miles unplanned, and I brought my chafing balm with me, this stick that I made, and it saved my ass at about mile 20. I put that on my thighs. It didn't save my ass, it saved my balls, because I felt some chafing coming on and some abrasion, and I was like, oh, hell no. So I stopped, rubbed some on, and gone instantly. And that could have been devastating had I not had that. So highly recommend, especially on longer runs, knowing where you're going to have high friction points on your body, whether you're wearing a vest or you're wearing a belt, or you've got, kind of a sling in your shorts, or if you're a girl and you have specific areas of like a sports bra that rub, just know where those high friction points are, and use a chafing balm on that. You're going to be able to buy this one that I'm making soon enough. So excited to talk more about that. But that, I believe, is the video. I think that is all of kind of what I wanted to cover today. Just talking about the things that I'm doing in my training for these ultra marathons and these long runs, and how I'm working on being the healthiest version of myself possible, and some of the things that I'm really focused on to be able to, operate at a higher level of athleticism, to be able to run for 4 hours straight, 5 hours straight, all the way up to, 10 hours straight. This isn't something that I've done before, but it's something that I definitely intend to do. People are out here running 100 miles, 240 miles. I'm no different. You're no different. You can do that. I can do that. So that's what the goal is. And a lot of these things that I'm focused on, that I'm integrating into my lifestyle and my habits and how I'm recovering, are only going to bring me closer to being able to do those things. So thank you so much for watching this. I hope that you have found this incredibly valuable. If you have, please hit that thumbs up button. That really helps me. Also, please drop a comment. I want to hear your thoughts about this, any questions that you have. I'm down to chat in the comments. So yeah, really appreciate you. Send this to somebody who you think might find it valuable as well. And I hope that, your training is going well. And I hope this inspires you to live a healthier, more intentional life. Go out there and get it, everybody. Love you.